Yo guys, what's up? Welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm giving you guys a review of Spider-Man 2. Since we're only 4 days away from Spider-Man No Way Home, I wanted to review my favorite Spider-Man movie of all time today. But before we get into it, I want to talk about Spider Weekend coming up on the channel. In 4 days, Spider Weekend is going to start because on Thursday, December 16th, I'll be giving you guys an in-theater reaction to Spider-Man No Way Home. I'll be going up to random people in the theater after my screening of Spider-Man No Way Home and asking them about their honest thoughts. And then on the 17th, which is that Friday, I'll be giving my spoiler review and breakdown of Spider-Man No Way Home. And then on Saturday the 18th, I'm going to be dropping every single Spider-Man movie ranked, including Spider-Man No Way Home. And then finally on the 19th, which is that Sunday, I'll be dropping my expectations and future predictions for the MCU. So this upcoming weekend is going to be absolutely loaded with content. So hit that subscribe button and turn notifications on so you don't miss any of those videos. Both always need more time. Let's get into it. So as I mentioned before, I think Spider-Man 2 is the best Spider-Man movie of all time. I think it's one of the best superhero movies of all time. It basically checks off everything a good superhero needs to do. It has exciting action, compelling characters, a great setup for future characters like Harry Osborn, a good love story, and an absolutely god tier villain. Now, some of the stuff doesn't really pay off. For example, like the great setup for Harry Osborn's character. I don't really like the direction they 100% took him in Spider-Man 3, but for what Spider-Man 2 was, looking at that movie alone and not looking at the whole trilogy, I still think it was really, really good. Now, what makes this movie so good to me is that it's not like a basic superhero movie where it feels like it's telling a story first. It feels like this movie is telling a character study first, if that makes sense. It feels like it's like a drama movie of Peter Parker's life, like everything going wrong in his life, featuring Spider-Man, and Spider-Man just feels like a guest appearance in the movie for all of the action. But even if you take the action out of this movie, I would still really love it in my opinion, because I love the drama aspect of it. I love the whole like regular life of Peter Parker. I love all the aspects of the movie that aren't the action just as much as I do the action. And that being said, I think this movie has some of the best Spider-Man action ever. I'd say as a whole, this movie has the best action sequences. You have the train scene, and then you have the fights on the buildings. You have the choreography with Doc Ock. You also have the puppeteering of his arms. And overall, Doc Ock is just such a god tier villain, and he does so much with so regular screen time. Like, it's not like he's super in the movie. It doesn't feel like he has crazy more amount of screen time than regular Marvel villains, but he's still literally a god. And also, I think it's because he doesn't feel like a real villain, if that makes sense. He feels just like a normal character with a title of a villain. It doesn't feel like they're trying to separate him as the bad guy or the good guy. Like, obviously, that has to be the case because it's a superhero movie, but it actually feels like he's a character on his own that's being developed on the side, and he just turns into a bad person because of the arms, and the arms take over his mind. I also think another thing that makes Doc Ock so good is Alfred Molina's performance. He is so good, and again, like I said, the puppeteering of the arms works really well with his acting, and that's actually one thing I'm really excited to see in Spider-Man No Way Home is how they use the arms since it's all CGI. Will Doc Ock give a better, or will Alfred Molina give a better performance as an actor alone, because he doesn't have to worry about like 5 other people working arms on him. Nevertheless, some other great moments in this movie are scenes like when Toby loses his powers when he's swinging through New York after going to the play. That scene is absolutely insane. There's a fully CG shot of him swinging in the air. It is so well done. And then when he's in the like alleyway and he's trying to climb up the walls, he slips down, hits his head on the dumpster, and then he sees the newspaper. Just everything feels like it's piling on top of one another, and it's just super well done in my opinion, and everything just adds up really slowly, which I'll talk about later. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, and this one stands out to me especially because I think it's one of the best, if not the best, Marvel villain scene of all time, which is when Doc Ock escapes the hospital. That whole scene feels like it's straight out of a horror movie, and I love it so much because it also makes the whole villain aspect of Doc Ock so menacing, because before he turned into Dr. Octavius, he was still like just super nice, super chill guy, and he was really charismatic. But after that scene, it's like I really had like a little stain in my heart for him, and it worked so well for the character. And another great moment that I want to mention is basically like the entire transition to the third act, and then the third act itself, which basically starts at the train scene. Well, technically it starts whenever like gets his powers back, and then J. Jonah Jameson's like, he's a menace, blah, blah, he's pointing out the window, and then there's a newspaper that says he's back, and then there's the clock tower fight scene, which is absolutely perfect, and then that leads to the train fight, which then leads to Toby getting captured by Doc Ock. Then that's right after the heart-to-heart between the citizens of New York in the train, and then obviously Doc Ock captures him. He takes him to Harry. Harry finds out that he's Toby, and then Toby finds out where Doc Ock is, and then the whole final battle itself is great. I will say the final battle itself doesn't really live up to the other fights, but I don't really care because the other fights were so awesome. And overall, I just think this movie movie aged super well because it's not like a basic superhero movie. And I won't say all superhero movies are like super basic, but like, for example, Captain America: The Winter Soldier is my second favorite MCU movie. If you haven't already seen my MCU ranking, click the link in the description down below to check that out. Captain America: The Winter Soldier is my second favorite MCU movie. It's a spy movie. It's like Mission Impossible, but for superheroes. And I still think it's a great movie, but to a certain level, it's still basic. It's not like a character study. Not many superhero movies are character studies. I would say Logan, Spider-Man 2, that's what makes these movies so good and so unique, is because it tells a true character story and it shows a true lesson within these characters and how they redeem themselves. For Logan, it's obviously him sacrificing himself and him dying. But for Spider-Man, it's understanding that being Spider-Man as at first was an obligation to Uncle Ben, but now it's something that he does for himself. It's something that he does out of the goodness of his heart, and he leaves behind all of the past experiences because he doesn't care about that. At the end of the day, he understands that he's doing it for himself. He's doing it as his own obligation to the people of New York, because with great power comes great responsibility. Now, one last thing I have to say before this video is over is the sequences that they show in order to convey that Peter Parker's life is falling apart are some of the best storytelling moments in all of superhero movies, strictly because it's not like one massive thing. It's not like he finds out that Doc Ock or Dr. Octavius turned bad and now he's like Doc Ock, now he's a super evil villain. Like, obviously that's one big thing, but there's also just so many small things, such as MJ getting engaged to another guy, all of the little stuff that happens at the party with him and Harry, stuff with his rent, stuff with the people that there are just so many small issues going on in his life, and it's not all just rushed to make it like happen all at once. Whereas like in the comics, for example, you have so much time to make Peter Parker's life feel like it's dragged into hell basically, but in the movie you have to do it at a super fast pace, and they did it really well, and it didn't feel like it was too rushed or too slow. I think they just perfected it. But yeah guys, that's basically it for this video for Spider-Man 2. This is my favorite Spider-Man movie, and it might change after No Way Home is out, so make sure to tune back into the channel for my official ranking of all of the Spider-Man movies after No Way Home comes out. Again, stay excited for Spider Weekend coming up next weekend on the channel, so subscribe to notifications on so you don't miss that. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.